Schools in Ottawa will most likely close after the April break, says Ottawa's top doctor Vera Etches, as COVID-19 cases and variants in the city rise.
So it's therefore with a heavy heart that I am now thinking the probability that schools will close to in-person learning after the spring break is higher than the probability that the COVID-19 situation will improve in time to keep schools open.
Etches has long supported keeping schools open in Ottawa and says it just shows how serious the situation in the city is becoming. She says the number of outbreaks in Ottawa schools has not increased this week, but we must do everything we can to limit exposure and stay home as much as possible.
My heart is heavy because I know how important schools are to the health of our community. There have been new school outbreaks this week, but the overall number of outbreaks has remained fairly stable, and it's still a minority of schools that are affected by people testing positive.
Earlier this week, Peel and Toronto implemented a Section 22 order to close their schools as COVID-19 cases climbed. Ottawa Public Health reviewed their data at the time and said in-class learning remains safe. Some parents, however, decided to keep their children home from school for the 4 days before the break. On April 9, Ontario reported 4,227 new COVID-19 cases in the province, a second-place record for most cases. Ottawa reported 246 new cases on the same day, with suspected variants of concern doubling overnight. Etches says there are no signs of the curve changing right now, and all indicators are showing COVID-19 cases will continue to rise, even as more enhanced restrictions have been implemented.
We have no sign right now that the curve is turning, and all the indicators are showing things going up still. And so I want to give people notice so they can plan, so the educators can plan, families can plan after spring break.
Earlier this week, Education Minister Stephen Lecce held a press conference to say schools would reopen following the April break with enhanced safety measures in place. Lecce said asymptomatic testing would be enhanced and education workers in hotspots like Toronto and Peel would be eligible to get the vaccine. But now as COVID-19 cases continue to climb, it's unclear if the education minister has changed his tune.
We are introducing new protocols to ensure students can return to class safely following that break. That includes an expansion of asymptomatic testing to include testing during the break in all pharmacy and assessment centres for asymptomatic purposes. Before that didn't exist. You had to be symptomatic to go to an assessment centre. We are now providing access province-wide to all assessment centres and pharmacies for both the symptomatic that existed and asymptomatic testing. That is a significant improvement and enhancement to access to testing in your neighbourhood, and we are encouraging parents and staff and of course students that are of age to get tested ahead of your return.
As of April 8th, the Ottawa Catholic School Board reported they have 80 active COVID-19 cases among students and another 13 among staff. The cases impact 36 schools and a total of 77 classes, and 22 cohorts are closed. The Ottawa Carleton District School Board on April 9 reported 95 student cases and 35 staff cases. Only one class is closed as a result. Now, Etches says they will be making a decision by Wednesday as to whether or not schools will reopen following the April break. But with the way trends are still continuing to head, it doesn't look too likely. Charlie Sinac, 2IN News, Ottawa.